This is my book this year, which hopefully everyone likes better than my book last year. So this is We Rip the World Apart by Charlene Carr. She is a Canadian writer. She's from no, she lives in Nova Scotia with her husband and daughter. And she's received grants from Arts Nova Scotia, the Canada Council for the Arts. Uh, and she's written quite a few other books. This is her 11th novel. And
Oh,
I thought it was great to support Canadian. Um, and also, just so everybody knows, this won't come out now, but it is, what's the day? May 25th, which is the 5-year anniversary on today of George Floyd's death. Which seems
oh.
pertinent because it is referred to in this book.
Mhm.
And if people don't know who George Floyd is, he in the States, he's a black man who a white police officer killed him uh, on this day in 2020 by putting, I think it was his knee on his neck, and it was videoed for I think almost 9 minutes, I believe was the time. And people were saying, you're going to kill him, you're going to kill him. And or he did kill him. He was sentenced for, don't quote me, but
20 years.
for 20 years, was it?
20 years.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
20 years. And I just read an article today about how there is, I don't know if we want to get into politics on here, but there is at least one conservative politician in the States who is trying to get the police officer pardoned. So anyways, not just to just I think it's just important to acknowledge that it's the 5-year anniversary, and this does touch on that. And this is kind
I
of a
do want to
quick
add that George Floyd also, it was between 11 to 15 times, told the officer that he could not breathe.
Yeah, I
During
can't
this
breathe.
during this 9-minute period. So that was a big thing to say during the Black Lives Matter movement, was I can't breathe. And that's where that comes from.
Yeah. Thank you.
So yeah.
Ashley, I was
So
thinking-
and I mean, this book touches on that. It touches on grief and family and like a lot of different topics that I think resonate. Probably I hoping with a lot of people. So what do you guys think, or who wants to talk about something first? Because I just talked a lot.
I
Anyone?
talk first.
Okay.
This book was way too close to home for me.
Yeah.
It was like really upsetting because I have biracial children, and I did my personal journal fine, but now that I'm talking, I cried a lot. That's just that.
Yeah.
Like to think that my son could just be because he was peacefully protesting, or it's
So
terrifying news in Canada to drive a car, like being afraid that your son to drive because of how he's going to be treated. And my boy's such a sweet little boy. Like it was just way too close for me, this book. Also, things you don't realize is when me and my husband first together. I remember once we were driving somewhere when we first got together, and a police officer followed us while driving a long, ridiculously long, like harassing amount of time. And I was like, and I kept on turning, thinking like, trying to get away and being conscious, like I can't make one mistake or he will pull me over. He's just waiting to pull us over because my husband was in the car with me. Or one time my husband went to the gym and he didn't bring his ID. And on the way back from the gym, they pulled him into a police car. And they're like, where's your ID? He was like, I was at the gym. I walked to the gym. And then they like drove him in a cruiser home so he could get his ID because he looked like someone that was suspicious. Like it's really, like I was saying in my personal journal, I tried to like think that like it's after the George Foreman thing.
George
George
Floyd.
Floyd.
George Foreman does that grill.
Yeah, George
Not the
Floyd.
same person.
I was
Just
was
grilling up
saying
some
to my husband,
birds.
like, I was saying to my husband, my children will never go to the US. Never. Like over my dead body. And he's like, sometimes, people talk about kids going to university. And I was like, my husband's like, oh, there's some good ones that maybe they'll get to one in the States. I'm like, never, never, ever would I have my child go to the States. Ever. Never. Terrifying for me. Terrifying.
I think that's
This
a really good
happens
point.
And this happens in Canada. Like this
I
book
think this
happens
is
in
part
Toronto.
of the point of the book is that
Yeah.
I know.
As Canadians, we look at the States and we go, well, it's not like that here. But the part of the point of the book is that, yeah, Canada has problems. Like, we do have problems here. And some of this stuff is here. And we look at the States and go, well, we're not like that. And it's like, well, I mean, who do you want to compare yourself to? Like, until things are equal and everyone's treated the same, then, we're not like, oh, we're so polite up here and we treat everyone the same. But that's just not true.
It's not.
I mean, in the book, like just so if people have not read it, the story is that this a white woman goes to Jamaica. She meets a black man, a Jamaican man, and they get married and they have a kid. They're in Kingston. There is I don't know if it's a war, but there's people are being killed
War,
by.
yeah.
Yeah. And so they come back and they come to Toronto. She ends up getting pregnant. I think they have an 18-year, very long difference. The son is grown up, like maybe in his 20s, I think, at this time. I think it's around 2005 or so. The one girl, the daughter, is fairly young. And the son goes out and protests and speaks at a protest. Then he goes to pack up the van or something and he's with other people and the police come and everybody else gets to the ground and the son says you don't have a right to search our van and he gets shot 4 times and is murdered. And it's the story of the family. It's kind of the story of the mother and her back then and her grieving and figuring things out, and then the daughter when she's older uh kind of figuring herself out. And there's other things that happen that I don't know if we want to give away about pregnancy and stuff, but and about how no matter what, it seems that they're all trying to, like a few of them try to step up to say like we need to change this and they're being shot down by police or coming and threatening them. Something really dramatic happens at the end that's horrifying. And so I guess, I mean, that's kind of the story of the book. And they're like, I think it's also about love and their family and grieving. And, it's not, there's a lot of stuff in there it's not all sad. A lot of it's sad, but it is, I think, ultimately in the end about love in my mind.
And like how the different members of the family deal with like how things are, right? Like, are you going to fight against injustice or are you going to try to be your best self and hope that you're recognized for being the best and do it that way, and the struggles that the race thing is always front of mind for lots of interactions they have with other people, whether they're friends or work colleagues or strangers or anything, and how it kind of is inherent in their lives as well.
I do want to mention that which this still happens so commonly, is that when the son is murdered earlier on in like a 2005 or 2004, his murder is really swept under the rug and no one has any details about it. And even later on when they do kind of get some details, they even talk about how they really tried to downplay the police involvement and why he was shot, and try and blame it on him. Mm-hmm. And speaking of George Floyd, like that's exactly what was happening. And it was really disheartening to read it, because as like someone who's Indigenous, I know, and I'm white passing, so growing up I was not scared of the police. I always viewed them as they're gonna come and they're gonna fix the problem, and that's that. And when I started leaning more into my culture and making friends with people of color, I didn't understand why they didn't want to call the police. There were a few instances where we had to call the police. My one friend had a panic attack and they were like, "You need to be here, please. Like, they're not going to believe me." And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, they're gonna come here, they're gonna take your statement, they're gonna investigate this, and it's gonna get figured out. And that was really my, like, such a punch in the face when the police came, and how dismissive they were, how rude they were. And that's when I really started to kind of change that shift in my mind, that maybe they aren't here to protect people. They're here kind of for, I don't want to say like a white supremacist type of society, but that really is uh, a lot of what the police are fighting for. And I think I'm just kind of rambling on, but it really was like so hard to read. Parts of this book, I could only read a chapter or two at a time, where I was getting so mad. Not so much at the storytelling, but so mad at the society to read that we're still in the same society. And this is happening, and it happens to so many people, and things are not changing, and they're not changing quick enough, and people are still dying because of this. And just how much hate people have. I don't understand it. And it's just a hard read emotionally, I think.
I agree. It was really hard.
Yeah, sorry, Sarah.
Yeah,
I didn't actually know. My mom gave me this book and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
she said it's really important, like it's an important book, and really think about, being in, Toronto and how this stuff's happening and whatever. And then I read it and I was like, oh, this is going to be really hard for Sarah. Being basically like telling the story of a white woman with a black man and three kids. Like, well, you have.
I related to Evelyn a lot. Let's just say that a lot. Like even her when she went to Jamaica and she's like, finally I feel safe. I love it here. That's how I felt with Senegal. Like I just kept on thinking in the book, like, go back to Jamaica. Just go back to Jamaica. And I don't know why they went to Nova Scotia. Like all of it. I'm like, just no one's handling it.
But
Go
it
back
was
to Jamaica.
dangerous. That's why.
Not after her son died though. They left at that time because there was a civil war. But also his sister got murdered during that war. Like it's hard, but I still would have gone back.
Right.
Like,
There's a lot of pain there as well, right? Because they lost so many people, and they kept on trying to make it, and just like, oh, just work harder, and like how people, I don't know.
It's kind of the dream they're sold is you come to North America and you're gonna work hard and live the American dream. Like, especially there's so much, and I know this is based in Canada, but really even like, freedom of speech, we're so free here. And so I think a lot of people from other countries hear that and they see that we have such a multicultural society that they believe that, and then they come here and they get these microaggressions. They they deal with racism in maybe not so blatant ways, but even when they move to the smaller town, yes, they're away from that violence, but then her daughter is being spit on and being called atrocious words. And she's like, you said it was supposed to be safe here. And she wasn't safe. Maybe she was safe in a physical sense, but not emotionally, not socially. And that's just as important as having physical safety.
Book interrupted.
This is my interruption every fucking day. The stupid dishes. I hate you. I always have. I always will.
Book interrupted.
What do you think of, so if we want to like talk about the book, like I wish that the character of the grandma, what's her name, Violet? Is that
Violet.
Yeah,
Violet.
it was Violet. That I wish that she was more like more full as a character. I don't know if you felt
Like she
that.
wasn't as developed, I
Yeah,
felt.
developed.
Yeah.
Like I feel like she wasn't as developed, and um, so I think there's stuff about the book. I didn't like the ending very much, and I get such an important but story to talk about in the other way. But I think the book itself, I didn't necessarily love the Evelyn character at the end either. I know she was trying and like, but you know, the way that she handled it, obviously, you know, it must have been horrific for that mother to go through all of those things. But at the same time, I wish she'd just grabbed her daughter, you know, given her the thing that the daughter needed. So
It was
I
interesting
Hard.
to hear
It's hard.
hear the mother talk about how she had to check out, like, for herself. She had to distance herself because she felt she couldn't lose, like, she couldn't allow herself to love someone so much to potentially lose them. And I'm not a mother myself, but I had a really strained relationship with my mom just through intergenerational trauma, addiction, etc. And one thing, my aunt, so my mom's sister, always told me is like, your mom, like, she loves you so much, but she has gone through so much too. And being a kid, that's so hard to hear, right? You're like, okay, cool, like, I'm going through stuff now because of her. Um, and so I can't imagine the things that there are some days where I want to check out, and I can, because I don't have anyone to take care of. I don't have anyone that needs me to live. I can't imagine how hard that is for a caretaker or a guardian to have horrible things happen or really emotional things happen and to still have to pick yourself up and give to other people. So that was really eye-opening to read through the mother's perspective as well as the daughter's, because I felt related to the daughter. But I'm sure if my mom read this, she would relate to the mom. So I liked both the stories. It's so complicated, but I think it told both sides well.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, I think that Evelyn had just been through so much. Like, her father was abusive. Her mom ended up checking out because he was so abusive. Everyone turned a blind eye to that. Then she moves to Jamaica, finally finds her peace, and then her sister-in-law gets murdered. They have to leave because an intruder. And then she comes back, then her son is murdered. And then by the police threaten her. She can't get justice, even though her best friend's or husband's a lawyer. No one will help her. Then she finally feels like things are going to turn around. And then I'm just going to spoil it. Then she's sexually abused because, you know, like, it's just, like, I can understand her being like, I just keep on trying. And pulling her husband out of his funk. Like, she's like, I'm just going to keep on trying. And then she's just like, now I'm done. I'm not going to try anymore. I give up. But this book made me go to a really dark place. So by the time Evelyn, even before she got abused, I was like, I would Henrietta those police officers. I would go full Henrietta from The Change. I would be like, I'm gonna raise my kids until they're older, and then those police officers are getting justice. And I don't care if I go to jail, but I'm gonna spend my time studying herbs, and I'm going to take them out. They're gonna die. One day they're going to die. An eye for an eye. I went crazy dark places because there is no justice for them. There'll never be justice for them. So I went really into really dark places where I'm like, I would go opposite. I would check out because I'm planning my revenge. It could be for 10 years. I would just be like every day planning my revenge. Like,
right? And it was just like
so
the final
places.
And the reason that the reason, but it just like sucks that she's trying to like protect her children from the world. I mean, from Canada, I guess, from everybody else here, or violence back in Jamaica, everything. And then when she finally, like, her daughter's like, I remember my mom stood up for me, and it was such a powerful thing for the daughter. And that's what really, that was the kind of the thing that was the chain reaction that made these guys, I'm not going to say made these guys do those things, but they were reacting to that because it was about power. And you know what I mean? Like, she stood up for her daughter. Her daughter was so proud and was like, saw this woman that she finally maybe found her voice in this small town, and she's protecting her daughter, and she's turning things around. And just like those pieces of shit, they just, you know, why can't they just let other people live? Because I don't know, right? Like, it's just so upsetting because she, as much as she could. And I think Violet dealt with loss and pain differently, and that her advice to her, how that affected the relationship, right? She's trying to do her best because Violet lost so many children and had so much loss in her life too, and she dealt with it differently because she's a different person, right? So I don't know. It's one of those books where you're like, you want the happy ending, but I think the point of the book is if you want the happy ending, then everyone's got to fight for that because it's not here yet, right? Like, the son was fighting for it and he got murdered, and then the family tried to lay low and whatever, and then they still were the victims of violence. And then, you know, the daughter had to try to come to terms with whether she should fight or be quiet. And it's one of those books that's not going to have a happy ending in the book, but I think that's the point of the book, is that you read it, and if we really do want like the good ending, more people have to be aware that this kind of stuff happens and something's got to change.
I don't think it was a sad ending though. Like, I feel like
they survived in their way, and maybe things did get a little bit better. The truth though, like all the hiding did make things worse. So it was nice that some truth came out and they finally opened up instead of trying to protect people by keeping them in the dark. You know, like that doesn't help.
They're healing. I agree. The end of the book was like everyone is actually healing. So that was positive. And that I like that's
a good point, Sarah. The healing for sure. That's like, not that the ending was, I mean, I guess it was happy in a way, but I think what made it feel happy, like a happy ending for me, was that they were healing after all of that. Obviously things are still happening in society, things may happen to them, her potential child, but they, as a daughter, mother, were healing, and that's what made it feel good. I think that's what like all
with the
daughters
grandmother
want with their mom. Right, just
and the grandmother.
I really liked that part of it. That after reading so much emotional turmoil through it, that felt nice to wrap up like that.
Maybe like hope for the next generation.
I wish that ending was a bit more drawn out, though. I found that's why I didn't like about the ending. I felt like it was like all this like detail, and then it was like, and then this happened and this happened and this happened, and let me wrap everything up in a little bow and put it at the end. But I guess that added the hope at the end that was needed. So
no, like, please end with hope, because this book,
it did end quickly though.
Was heart-wrenching.
Like I felt like it was just like a page, and I read it, so I listened to it, so I don't know if it was a page or not, but it felt very quick how it ended. So I agree, Lindsay. It could have been longer, I think, for the ending.
Yeah, just to, like, I wanted to hear about her speaking at the rally. I wanted to hear a little bit more details about, you know, them working on that relationship, you know, between the mother and the daughter and the grandmother, and the healing between all of that, and the, I don't know. I just felt like it was like bloop and done. You were like, oh, okay.
Was anybody else super annoyed with how the boyfriend was like just dogging her all the time? Like making appointments, and she's just like, I don't know, leave me alone. And just, was anybody else being like, hey, like, ease up, mister?
He's like, just have the baby for me, and then you can just give it to me, and you can.
I'll take care of it. You're like, I'm gonna carry this baby and then have the baby and then what? Never see it? I don't know. Never see it ever? You're like,
Also, to
that's
go
not
through the body changes, pregnancy in general, like she could go through postpartum, uh, and that would be like the least of her worries
this
from
might be asking
pregnancy.
a lot. And you're like, what? A lot does not cover it, my friend. Like,
I like how the doctor, though, I'm glad that they put in the book, because at first she was like, this doctor's going to judge me and blah, blah, blah. And then after the doctor made him leave, and then she was like, are you in an abusive relationship? And she was like, what? No. And
are
she's
you
like,
sure?
no, it can be subtle. Yeah, this can be subtle because he seems like he's pressuring you. And she's like, no, no, no. But at least it made
Well,
her
he
think
is
differently,
pressuring me.
being like, right. Like, and that's where she left. She's like, well, he is actually pressuring me. So
What do I
that's
actually
not
want?
cool.
Also, people in her life were saying he's such a good guy. Like, you should say, like, you're so lucky that you have a guy who wants this child, wants you. Like, that's kind of the dream, right? Is you find a nice guy, uh, and you get pregnant. They really are excited for it. They want it too. But it was absolutely pressuring her and not taking into consideration the changes that women go through during pregnancy. Uh, like that is a complete whole body change. That's a mental change. And then to also just be like, also, if you don't want it, give up your child and I'll take it. That doesn't come with no consequences.
Right? I think it also,
Yeah.
like, it really helped. I mean, he was being really pushy, and I was so annoyed with him. I was like, leave this guy. Um, but uh, it really helped with her. At the same time, she's realizing how much masking she was practicing in her life, right? Where when she's with how, like, was she ever being her genuine self with whoever, right? Like, am I being genuine with
Anyone.
this person? Anybody. And
Mhm.
not just because she's a biracial woman with either it hanging out with like her black friends or her white friends and kind of feeling in between there, for different reasons, or because like her brother was murdered and there was expectations about trying to hold the family together at a very young age and pretending like things were okay so that her parents, she wanted her parents to be okay. So all that trauma also like had another layer of masking that I think also, like you were saying at the end, where she's healing, she's trying to figure out how to unmask and relearn that relationship. And it was hard, right? Because she kind of took on the role of caretaker of her parents' feelings, just to survive. So it was interesting that they made the boyfriend like that in a way, because he really helped her be like, who am I, and like why, But anyway, he drove me. His pushiness was like, I was surprised that she didn't just like leave right away. I was like, get out of there the whole time. I was like, get out of there. He's
Yeah.
not helping,
I don't know.
but
Yeah, but
that's
if
part of
you
the
love
character
someone,
development though, right?
right?
Like she's trying to figure out like, wait a minute, why am I here and what do I actually really want? And do I want him or do I not? I mean, it was nice that it raised that question because he was clearly like he's choosing the baby, and does he really actually want me or not,
I think though also she came to the conclusion that like he thought they were going to get married and stuff. Like she never gave him, because she had learned from her experiences with Anthony's death that she just needed to blend and not stand out. So she was just going with the flow and kind of people pleasing through the whole relationship. And this guy thought she wanted to get married and have a family and do all those things. And then when it happened, he was like, what do you mean you're not happy about it? And we're not getting married and we're going to get here anyway. And she was like, I don't actually know. I was just going through the motions. Like she was just
I
going
don't
through the
know what I
steps. She
want.
wasn't, I'm just glad you chose me.
Don't
Like,
even
you know
know
what I
who
mean?
I
Like she was
am,
just,
right?
Yeah, I don't know how to tell what
mhm.
my needs are or my wants are. I just want to not feel in like danger. Like
Mhm.
like,
The baby
so
was the catalyst for all the healing. The baby was the
yeah.
catalyst for all the healing of everyone, the whole all three generations, because she's like, I need to figure this out. So I need information and I need to know who I am. And you know what I mean? Like, I think that's because she had a timeline. She had to do it. Like she had to figure it out.
Love that her friends like totally figured it out like right away. They're like, we know. She's
Everyone
like,
did.
what? She's like, it's very obvious. Your body is changing. So, and you're not drinking.
You're
So
clearly
let's
right.
talk about it. I liked her friend a lot. Her friend was her friend was a very good friend, and like also like I
what
don't
was her
judge.
name?
Let's talk about this, right?
I do like that you
Yeah.
guys brought up the how she felt like she was masking, especially to her partner, because that was something I wanted to ask you guys. Do you think he actually loved her, or do you think he loved the masking? That like, do you think he actually knew? Because her friends, right? Like, her friend kind of saw through the bullshit. Uh, do you think the boyfriend kind of saw through that too and really loved who she was? Or was he just in love with this masking that she put on?
Are
I mean, I
guys
think
that
it's hard.
insightful? I'm not, no, I don't mean all men, but like, okay,
I
that
think
was a
it's a
generalization. We're gonna
Yeah,
get,
Lindsay.
we're gonna get, but like, no, but if you show a certain personality, or maybe some women, like if you show a certain personality all the time, you know, if I knew you and you were always one way, I wouldn't think to be like, oh, is that just a mask and they're really somebody else if you're always showing the same.
Mhm.
So I do think he really loved her for who he thought she was.
Yeah.
Whether, you know, I don't think that, you know, I don't think he wanted her to be a certain way. Like I feel like the character really loved her for, yeah, what she showed him.
The portrayal
I
she
think-
showed.
Betrayal. And I don't think the
I think
betrayal,
that's
when you're
why-
masking, it's not 100% not you either. I think there's parts of you in there, but I think, I mean, it's nice that at the end she's like, we're just spoiling the whole book, so, but whatever.
Yeah.
We
But
always
how
do
she's
that.
trying to be like, you need to, he's like, this is coming out of the blue, and she's still trying to figure it out, so that it's nice that she's like, I need to figure this out, but that he cared for her enough. Maybe he will like the true self, but how would they ever go back to a relationship where she figures out who she is, and he's who he always has been? Like, I don't know, you know.
It's like
I
dating
was gonna
someone new almost.
You'd
I was gonna say,
easily
so-
fall back into masking, is what I'm saying.
Mm.
I was going to say, I think their conflicts really started when she invited him out with her other friends and she has a different mask on. And then she was like, I don't want him with my friends over here because I'm a different person. I'm wearing a different mask here and I'm wearing a different mask with him. And they can't, right? Her friend was like, basically said, if you stay with this guy, like that's a choice. Like you're choosing that mask. You need to decide who you are. If that's who you are, that's the mask you're choosing. Like you have to figure out what, you know what I mean? Like she was kind of laying it out. Like we love you no matter what, but basically like choose, he needs to be able to see you or you're only going to go with his friends. You're going to be that
And that's
girl.
such an important topic that I think a lot of biracial people experience is, are you, like for myself, I find when I'm off the reserve, I speak a different way than when I'm on reserve and with Indigenous people. And I don't know if that's so much as masking to like protect myself or whatever, but I am different with my white friends. And I notice that when we all come together and it's a mix of the white friends and my Indigenous friends. And sometimes you can see that they are uncomfortable because they don't maybe get the jokes, they're not in on it. So I like related to that, but I think so many people who are walking in kind of two worlds or three, whatever, deal with that. And it's like I liked that she was talking about how confusing that is. And she didn't, I think, really even notice it until like it was pointed out, like that she really does that.
There was the scene she went with his friends. Do you remember that? Like after she was figuring it out and she's with his friends and she's like, oh, did I ever really like some of these people and do I fit in? And I was thinking back to, just to throw it back to many, many years, the White Fragility when Robin came on, who was one of maybe our first fan, was he? Or
Our first fan.
Can't
Yeah, yeah.
Our
first
very
fan.
first
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah,
And
Squiggy.
Squiggy,
Squiggy.
yeah. Oh, sorry, do we call him Squiggy? Oh, because I've known him since we were in high school. But he grew up in a very white place. I knew him. We were all I think, all white friends, and then him. And he spoke about, the way, like, the way he felt being, different, or that he had to conform and different things like that. So I don't know. It just made me think of that too, like how we spoke about this how many years, and this is something that continues.
I think like the intergenerational trauma in this family, but also just like personal trauma with the brother being murdered and stuff, that I think contributes to the masking as well, because they talked a bit in the story being like, people bring casseroles, you get your 2 weeks off work, and then they're like, now it's time to come back, and you're like, something so devastating has happened, and like I'll never fully, like, how can the parents go back to work, and things will not be the same, you can't go back, but you're expected to go back to work, to put on your I'm fine
Mask.
now, I've grieved for 2 weeks, and now I'm just going to get on with my life, and how
The death of a
it's
child.
expected. Yes.
Yeah.
And it was expected of everybody. So there's like layers of, trying to fit in to this group, trying to fit into this group, and like, who are you?
That's indicative of a colonized society. You have a set time. It's a short time where you're supposed to grieve. It's acceptable for you to grieve in that short amount of time. And then after that, life moves on.
Yeah. We don't want to
and
hear about it anymore. Keep it to yourself.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable for everyone else now.
I made you a casserole 2 weeks ago. That's all the casseroles you're getting.
Exactly. The help has stopped. And comparing that to some other cultures where it's normal to take a year off to grieve, because of course your son was murdered. I can't even imagine the devastation of something like that, and to expect people to go back to working, to even think about everyday mundane things, is like disgusting to do that to people. And that is something North American culture has put on other cultures, is like, no, you can't keep grieving this. Like, we need you to work. We need you to work because capitalism. And like, we just don't care.
Money's more important.
I was just talking to my friends from Europe, and they're talking about sabbaticals, and like, oh, I'm going to take my year sabbatical. They're doing it for whatever they want to see, this new project that they want to do. And then, and she was from France, and then the two friends that were from Spain were like, oh no, you can only take a sabbatical for things like a death in the family. You could take a year off if someone dies in your family. Like, that's completely reasonable, and your work just gives you a year off. And then I was also thinking in Senegal, talking about this specifically. So if someone dies, first off, you don't ask permission to take up time off work. Someone dies, they bury them the next day. Everyone all you say to your employer is, this person died. And they're like, okay. They don't expect you to come in. Like, everyone just drops everything and goes right away to a funeral. And then every year of a family member's death, every year there's a party for their anniversary of their death. Every year people come back to grieve that person dying. Of course. After a year, and Mamadou's family still mourns his dad's death. And it was, I don't know, 30 years ago, every year.
Wow.
Like,
that's really beautiful.
It's right. And in Canadian societies, 2 weeks, get back to work. Like, no wonder people have such a hard time mourning.
Seriously.
Because you're not supposed to.
And also the idea that like the people don't want to hear about it anymore. Like you should be talking about, you should be talking about the people that you miss, to remember
it's
them
like
too,
taboo
right?
to talk about people who have have died.
And be
it's
or
people
even
are so uncomfortable with death.
Yeah, or even talking about your funeral arrangements, or like Laird and I are finishing our wills, and I've been talking about it actively with people, being like, okay, well, this is what I want. This is, and everybody gets really uncomfortable about death in general here.
And you're like, I'm going to die eventually.
Yeah.
And I just
Oh,
really
yeah.
want to everyone have a giant party, and like you can have an open bar if you
Yeah.
want. That'd be great.
Do shots of tequila. That's what
That's
I
right. There
want.
should be a dance floor. Like think wedding, but
Mhm.
like my ashes are over
But
there.
black tie, like wedding, but everyone wears black.
Right? I mean,
Black tie.
Yeah.
black tie.
Okay.
It is
Very
also
nice.
sad, I think, that for so many people, it takes a huge like situation to bring everyone together, like a death, like a wedding. It's always these really big life-changing events, which is obviously really sweet that people have that community to come together, even if it is only for 2 weeks. But like we should also be getting together just throughout life as well, without these big life-changing events, because then you're only seeing these people when really sad things are happening or really happy things are happening, and it's more about like the everyday things that are happening in your life too. That's like we were talking about in Solutions and Other Problems. People don't have the community, and that's where you're getting the community, is you're spending that time together outside of these very traumatic or positive events.
People are working too
Yeah.
much because they're feeding the capital society that you said, capitalist,
That only gives us 2 weeks off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
If
it
goes
really all comes
circle.
back.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely. That's why. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're only working. You're working to, what's it? You're
Working to live, or living to work, or working to
Yeah.
live.
Yeah,
You're living
yeah.
to work, and then you're working till you die.
That's all the time we have for this. Yes, this episode.
Okay, well, thanks for
So-
reading my book. I'm sorry that it was so emotional for everybody, but I'm also not, because I think it's an important thing, and I hope that it's inspiring other people to read it so that they can, really think about the fact that this, especially Canadians and people in Toronto and
Yeah.
in everywhere in Canada, that this is happening close to home as well. This is not just
Yes.
a United States problem. So
Yeah, thank you, Lindsay, for
my
picking
babies.
this book. I think like throughout every season, there's a couple of books that are chosen, and they are harder reads, but they bring up such important topics and different perspectives that some of us don't even consider. So while it was a hard read, I think it was really so important. Like, I'm telling all my friends to read this. Yeah, I think it was a fabulous pick, so thank you.
Yeah, me too. I put in
Enjoyed
my
it.
personal journal. So this is a repeat, but it's a really good book for a book club. So if you have a book club, it's a really good read for a book club. Yeah.
Mhm.
If you've enjoyed these video highlights, listen to the full episode on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember to like and subscribe and ring that bell to be notified when new episodes are published. Find out more by going to www.bookinterrupted.com.
Never forget, every child matters.